Thank you for being here. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, and thank you for sharing this information with your community, your friends, family, just getting the right information out. I really appreciate it as this community is really building, especially as we get deeper into hurricane season. There are a few new active areas, and of course, watching our tropical disturbance that is sliding in. I want to go island by island with some of the rain totals. All islands matter, big or small. We're going to cover that together and a look at some of the dust, but the dust pattern is about to change. I want to show you the prospects, the chances for long-term development, and then swing back toward the Gulf, over toward Louisiana and Texas, where we could see a little bit of a flare-up of some development, something we've been talking about the last few days. So thank you for your patience. We're going to go step by step in this video. I know it's going to be a little bit long, so I'll get going. Here's a look at what we have going on in the Eastern Caribbean. Heavy areas of rain. We've been watching a few showers and storms near Cuba, Cayman Islands, and for us in parts of Jamaica. Belize, we're going to see things building pretty soon. We'll slide into that in just a moment. But as I've been talking about this area that's been moving into us in the Caribbean, I haven't been seeing signs of development because of that dry air and the dust right through here. Anguilla, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, back through Puerto Rico. Dry air, dust in place. So this area has been struggling, which is good, but we don't need a named system, as we know, to get some big downpours, to get some flooding. And I want to show you those totals in just a second. Out here, here's our tropical disturbance moving in. So an unorganized area of rain and some storms. More tropical waves out here and some bigger ones. This one pulling off of Africa, still over the coast of Africa. A lot of the models are eventually developing that. So that'll be an area to watch. Now, this is the spot I've been highlighting the last few days. There's a spin right here for us in the Bahamas and Cuba. It's an upper level spin, well above our heads. Usually it doesn't become tropical in nature, but the weather's tied together. It is actually yanking in some of that moisture, pulling it back from the southeast U.S. back into the northern Gulf, in a slight chance of development in through here once again, but most likely some bigger areas of rain. So I'll show you the modeling on that, the rain totals on that in just a moment. Now, looking at the chances of development for that spot, relatively low. This is the European model, about a 30 to 40% chance of some development. What's going to happen with this area near Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, it's going to eventually run into land. So chance of development is on the low side. Monitoring the southern Caribbean, but more so the eastern Pacific. We're just going to see a buildup of rain, but I do want to watch out for the western Caribbean as we work our way into next week, as a lot of rain will build. And then as we get deeper out into the Atlantic, the tropical wave moving in right now, no signs of development. Could see a little spin here in the open waters, but these new tropical waves that will be coming off, that bigger one in particular, may try to develop. That'll be something we'll be watching together in upcoming videos. And here's one of the reasons why. The dust will be in place today. As I mentioned, Anguilla, St. Croix, St. Thomas, Tortola, back through Puerto Rico. Thick areas of dust. Antigua, Barbuda, where you're seeing these kind of brighter colors. But let's go long term here. This is going a week out in time. Not as much dust coming off the coast of Africa. The dust season is June and July. So we're about to get out of that. A week from now, there may be another pocket of dust coming off, but overall not as much. So it's not going to be quite as dry, which means there's a slightly better chance overall in the Atlantic basin of some development. I got you covered. Now, going step by step, here we are just to orient you as we swing back. Let me zoom down here over toward Barbados, and then getting back toward, here we are in St. Lucia, and then we swing back toward St. Vincent. These are the areas of rain and storms on the radar that have been moving in. We've been watching that. Right near Bridgetown, we've had some of the rain and then points to the north, so more along the southern coast overnight, and then along the western coast for us in Barbados. We've had that rain. It's going to continue to pump in from St. Lucia back through St. Vincent the Grenadines, and we'll see it staying relatively active from Grenada back through Trinidad and Tobago. There's some of the rain in parts of northeastern Venezuela. We'll have some scattered to widespread rain, more so tonight and then more so tomorrow. This is going to be filtering in for us, so we'll monitor some of that flood potential back through parts of Trinidad, for example, with some of this rain that will be sliding in. So we'll start here and then we'll get into this in the Gulf. Here's what's going on. Later in the day, a heavier chance, a bigger chance of rain back through Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent the Grenadines. Keep an eye on Dominica. It's active though. Some thunderstorms. Jamaica, we could get a couple. Haiti, the DR, and still around Cuba. And then watching the rain that will build Costa Rica and Panama. So you pick a spot on the map where you are, kind of follow along here, and then we get into tomorrow. By tomorrow, this tropical disturbance continues to slide in. Additional rain that will be moving in tonight and tomorrow, and then watching out for some areas of thunderstorms. We'll jump up to the north in just a second and dissect the chances of development around Louisiana, Texas. But here we go by Friday. You see how we are now getting more active. We're going to lose the dust, and we're going to see some areas of rain still pumping in as this tropical wave moves toward the DR and the ABC Islands. Backside of it pumps in more rain for us in the Eastern Caribbean. And then you see here's that rain. End of the week and the weekend building anywhere from Jamaica back through Belize, parts of Mexico, Honduras. So as we go day by day, the weather pattern, it's getting more active, and you see here by Saturday, there's more of that rain pumping into parts of the Eastern and Northern Caribbean. And then look what happens here by Sunday into Monday. A few areas to watch with some rain, potentially Haiti, the DR, Puerto Rico, and then a new tropical wave near Barbados and St. Lucia, and then all of this rain building. Plus, I mentioned that strong tropical wave that is still sitting over Africa. That's going to be back behind this, and that one looks like it will try to develop. So not seeing big development out of this, but just kind of keeping an eye on these areas, because this time of year, those water temperatures, as I've been mentioning, are so very warm that we could see things kind of go from nothing to something in a relatively quick period of time. So getting a look at the additional rain totals, this is on top of what we've already had in spots from St. Lucia back through St. Vincent and the Grenadines, back through Barbados. You see some of these brighter colors, an additional 75 millimeters of rain. There are some pockets, it depends on where these set up, that could be over 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches. This could be over here or slide over here. Point being, from this sector south back through Trinidad and Tobago, you see how it's going to be active. We could get some spots over the next few days of 100 millimeters of rain in Trinidad and Tobago. Giving you the heads up. Thank you for subscribing, sharing this information, because we will see, not all of us, but we will see some areas of flooding with this tropical disturbance moving in. Now, water temperature is very warm in this sector, near 90 degrees in the northern Gulf Fahrenheit. So with that said, this disturbance is going to slide across Florida into the northern Gulf. There's this little upper level spin that is going to shoot this moisture around. So very active overall in this area. By tomorrow, we see more of this rain kind of shooting back toward coastal sections of Alabama, Mississippi, Panhandle of Florida, West Florida, and then working its way back toward parts of Louisiana, anywhere from Baton Rouge south, watching over toward New Iberia, Lake Charles, New Orleans. And then you see by Friday, watching over toward Beaumont, Houston, swinging down through Corpus Christi, northeastern sections of Mexico. Additional rain still on the backside, parts of Mississippi and Louisiana, seeing some of the rain, but this area as a whole, even though the water temperatures are warm, it may run out of time to develop because it'll kind of push in by the time we get into Friday and Saturday. But note that in this area, I'm watching this because those water temperatures are so very warm that sometimes you get a little area of low pressure, that spin that tries to develop and just feeds off of the warm water temperatures, and all of a sudden you go from just a lot of rain to the chance of a quick tropical depression or tropical storm developing. Not that that's going to happen, but that is something I've seen over my decades of doing this, especially with the water temperature so warm. So got you covered. Now this is that big broad area we are watching, and then I'll get back to some of those rain totals. To the north, Ontario, Quebec, Great Lakes, heads up Minnesota, parts of the Dakotas, even watching Iowa, we're going to see some really heavy rain. Tornado threat with this as well. Damaging winds, isolated tornadoes, southern Canada, not widespread though, but a chance of it. But back toward the Great Lakes, you see some of this heavier weather shifting over toward New Brunswick by the time we get into tomorrow. There's the spot in the Gulf. And then watching over toward, especially the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, heavier weather building. And then as we work our way into Friday, that'll shift Newfoundland down toward Nova Scotia, Cape Cod, seeing some heavier weather. And then we'll watch out for the next system near Manitoba moving in. But there's that area on Friday we're watching near Louisiana and Texas, but it should run out of time as that kind of works its way into Mexico. Could lead to some additional flooding. Then on Saturday, from the Great Lakes back toward the Mid-Atlantic, Altoona, back toward Pittsburgh, swinging to the north. Some heavier storms possible, but this area will work in. Still watching out for some scattered showers, Montana south, as we work our way back through the Rocky Mountains. And you can see across the Avalon Peninsula later on Saturday, that area should move off. So seas are going to be elevated the next few days, building. If you have any boating interest across the Caribbean, parts of the Bahamas, especially southern Bahamas, choppier at least 2 to about 3 meters in some spots. Here's meters, here's feet, keeping everyone covered. This here is by Friday into a Saturday, and you see that chop around. It's still the Atlantic passageways on Saturday where we could have some of those seas around 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 feet in some spots. So things are going to get choppy. All right, the rain totals now, and I want to zoom down into this in just a second. We're going to see some bigger rain totals the next 3 days, but even for 5 days as all of this progresses back toward Texas, Cuba. We had some stronger storms yesterday, still the chance of that as we go throughout the day. In Jamaica, some of us dry, some of us seeing some of the storms. Where they pop up, we'll get some spots of 75 millimeters of rain or 3 inches of rain. We swing back through Puerto Rico, not a whole lot. Same thing in Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Bart's, Saba, because in Montserrat, because we have that dust around at least as of now. But as I showed you longer term, some of this moisture is eventually going to be pulling to the north. But Guadalupe south, Dominica, chance of getting some showers around. Additional rain with this tropical wave moving in, 50, 75 millimeters of rain. Could be a little bit higher in some spots. And I zoomed down into these locations earlier. The next 3 days, monitoring those pockets of flooding. So leave your location and what you got going on in the comments section as we all could take a look at this weather community throughout the day. Northeastern Venezuela, Venezuela as a whole, seeing that chance of flooding. Active in Guyana, not as much in Suriname. And then as I mentioned, as we work our way into next end of the week, into the weekend and next week, rain chance builds here through Central America. We did have a few storms, parts of Belize yesterday. Could get a quick couple inches of some rain. There's some of the rain near Mexico City kind of feeding back toward the north. But this sector in here, this is that area we're watching across the northern Gulf, zooming down. A couple days from now, we'll see some of those rain totals getting higher, watching anywhere from northeastern Mexico back toward Houston. And you see Lake Charles, New Orleans, we could get some spots swinging back toward parts of Biloxi, Mobile, some spots 3 to 4 inches of rain. We could see some isolated areas, depending on how this shakes out though, 5 to 6 inches of some additional rain just over the next 3 days. So Jamaica, while we don't have widespread storms, where we get them, they're going to pack a punch. Some thunderstorms will be around. Cayman Islands, we're going to get scraped by a couple showers and storms. Trinidad and Tobago, next 3 days at least, staying very active at times. The chance of rain, we'll be watching out for a flood potential. Barbados today, tonight, even into tomorrow, as we've already seen, that rain chance is on the high side. Same thing in St. Lucia. A lot of this rain may happen tonight while you're sleeping. 60 to 70% chance of rain in Grenada the next couple of days. Just staying very active, watching out for that flood potential, monitoring even a risk of some mudslides in some spots with some runoff the next couple of days. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 60 to 70% chance is going to hold. Martinique and still elevated in Dominica. That's why I mentioned we could get some higher rain totals and in some locations. 60% chance the next 2 days in Guadalupe as this tropical wave moves in. But we have some of that dust around Antigua, Barbuda. It does limit it, some of that rain chance. Same thing, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat. Rain chance stays on the limited side. Small, Anguilla and St. Bart's. Watching the dust today, thinking of you if you have any breathing issues. St. Martin, Saba, Statia, rain chance only 20%. Isolated showers and storms possible through Puerto Rico. Some of those packing a punch, but also that dust with us. Rain chance up to 30% on Friday. U.S. and British Virgin Islands, Bahamas, some of that rain starting to pull away now and working its way into the Gulf. Turks and Caicos, rain chance holding at 10%. Scattered thunderstorms across the Dominican Republic. Only a 20% chance in Haiti today. Again, some of the dust today, tomorrow. Haiti and the DR. Belize, rain chance will be higher. 40-50% chance by the time we get into Friday. It is going to get more active. We've been talking about that together. 20% chance in Aruba. Building some by Friday in Curacao and Bonaire as this tropical disturbance slides in. Guyana, depending on exactly where you are, heavier rain, especially northern areas with that chance of flooding. 50% chance in Suriname. Scattered thunderstorms back through Cuba. We're watching that very active the next few days. 60 to 70% chance Costa Rica and Panama. And then eventually more of that rain will be lifting to the north. So rain chance building in Nicaragua, eventually building in Honduras, and again back through Belize, even the Yucatan Peninsula. Guatemala and El Salvador, 50% chance today. 50 to 60% chance in Mexico City, and about a 40% chance across the Yucatan Peninsula, Merida, Campeche, northern Colombia, 50 to 60% chance. Higher chance, though, northern sections and really all sections of Venezuela with that potential of flooding. And with these fronts pulling off the eastern seaboard of the United States, getting clipped by some showers, 40% chance today in Bermuda. So no doubt active. The tropical disturbance arriving, the flood threat today, tonight into tomorrow. More tropical waves coming, those bigger ones off the coast of Africa, and monitoring for development, which includes the northern Gulf. No signs yet of our next named system, but the next name on the list is Dexter. So got you covered here again. Thank you for sharing this information. Have a good rest of your day.